All right, YouTube, a quick introduction what we're doing in this video. It's going to test edge stability. You're going to hear me say edge toughness. It's actually incorrect. It's more edge stability, how well the edge apex holds up to impact and, things like staples, wire, that kind of stuff that you might encounter in ADC, and how well it handles that and how easy it is to fix that. That's going to come in the second video. This one's just going to be all about the stability, some testing with it, comparing it to M4 steel as well. All of these videos I'm going to be doing in the series are going to be with Para 3s because they come in every flipping steel you can think of. And I think they have the same edge geometry. They're all sharpened at 15 degrees typically. If not, I'll reprofile them all to 15. So everything will be very consistent. So I think it'll really tell, some good data and information. It's not scientific, quote, quote. We learned from the catcher testing that that's the way to go, right? No, we didn't learn that. But anyway, we will see. So stay tuned. We're going to kind of roll in some footage and I'm going to wrap it up. All right, since this guy's pretty dull, I'm going to sharpen it anyway. I thought, why don't we test a little edge toughness here by prying these staples out and see what it does. You can see these are pretty good size staples. Typically, maybe you need to pry these open with your knife blade, for whatever reason. That one's in there deep. It's like all hooked in there. I don't think I'm prying that one out anyway, it's hooked in there, but let's try these guys. So you can see I'm hitting the tip. Just the tip. So the damage is going to be up towards that area of the knife. If there is any edge damage. I know we've all done this before, where we opened a box, cut into a staple, and it chips the blade. We might have some. I'll just do one. See, I'm really pushing against it right there. There we go. All right. So what do we do? 2, 3, 4 of them. See if there's any edge damage. Looks like there might be. I don't know. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Not bad though. I'm wondering if I could get this to show up through the camera. All right, another thought I had after watching a Michael Christie video is he took some staples and actually stapled them into cardboard, and then he cut through the cardboard and kind of looked at the edge damage. I don't have to do that because these are already in here. So what I thought I would do is cut right through here, and you can see it's going to go right through those staples. So let's see what happens. All right. Really nothing. It kind of just slipped off. So those staples are really in there pretty good. Let's try it again. So kind of trying to mimic what would happen if you were cutting through this, not knowing there's a staple there, and bam, you're into a staple. And man, there is not. I'm like slamming into those things. Not a lot of edge damage. Pretty tough steel, man. Pretty tough steel. Let's do the same thing with, this is an M4 pair of 3. That time it ripped the cardboard. We may have hit the tip right there. My fingernail is. There may be a little chip right there. That's interesting. Let's try it again. Try to hit more in the, like the middle of the blade. No edge damage there. Okay, we're gonna come down from all the way up here into those staples. There's really no resistance here. Well, we went through one. All right. There's a nick right there. Small nick right there. So comparing the two side by side, I feel like the 5100 actually fared a little better. There's a little chip right there, and right there at the tip. Some of this previous up here was done from the prying of the staples. Let's try that again with the 5100. We're just going to start up here. Let's get that staple out of the way. So, there we go. I gotta tell you, the 5100 might be a little tougher at the edge. That's insane. I can see two decent little chips in the M4, but man, I cannot. Very, 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 very minor in the 5200. Let's try it one more time. I do not see anything. That is a tough steel, man. Pretty cool. One more time. Yeah, maybe a little bit right there, but not as, I mean, I did it a few more times in the M4. The M4 has a chip right there, and here towards the tip. I'll pull out the microscope and see if you guys can see it. Or the microscope, the magnifier. Let's see. I hope you have it the right way, genius. Yeah, we got a little chip. Yep. Not necessarily a chip, more like a roll. I think the edge rolled a little bit. Yeah. I think the 51200 did better. Interesting. I like this test because it's more real world. A lot of guys are, nothing wrong with those tests either. They're putting into extreme measures like hammering the blade through like a metal rod, a copper brass rod, bricks, you know, all kinds of stuff, which most people aren't really going to be doing that with their knives. They get what they're doing, and there's nothing wrong with the test. It's a great test, actually, because it really is putting it through some abuse. But I think this is more real world. It's funny, I was thinking about this, and I had the staples, and I'm like, I'm going to use this, I'm going to pry them. Then I saw this, like I said, a Michael Christie video where he was cutting them, so I thought I'd do both. I'd do the little prying with the edge in case you needed to use it to pry something, and cutting, you know, into cardboard and maybe running into a staple and see if that, you know, because that's more of a typical EDC use. So I definitely agree with Michael Christie on that. So yeah, I think the 52100 is pretty dang tough. Done well. I think I'm gonna do one other toughness test with it, and then we're gonna look more at the edge retention and see how that does. I think it won't be as good as M4 as far as that's concerned, but I'm curious after sharpening it. One of the reasons I'm doing this is trying to see all the different types of steels and how they like really work for my EDC, you know, and just kind of sharing that information with you guys. Seeing, you know, which steels are tough, which have better edge retention, which sharpen easier, and kind of finding the balance of, like, you know, what I think is like for me the best EDC steel. So stay tuned for more videos like this. All right, next step we're going to do is we're going to use this copper wire. I don't expect the knife to cut through. It's pretty, not copper wire, it's just wire. I don't know what kind of wire it is, honestly. I had it in my garage. We're going to see how the edge stability is versus this. I don't expect it to cut through it at all. I do expect, you know, just to kind of put a dent in it, but we're gonna use, let's see here. Let's tape off a section of the blade that we haven't used really, which is more towards the back. Use it a little bit with the staples, but we're just gonna use that area there. And we're just gonna take a couple whacks with this. I'm not seeing any edge deformation actually. Let's give it a harder whack. Well, there's one of my problems. This isn't a very flat surface. You know what, screw it. There we go. As you can see, it bent it pretty good, didn't cut it. Not much damage at all. I don't really see hardly any, only a little bit, but I'm really impressed with 5200 steel, man. That's, as far as edge stability goes, it's pretty dang good. Let's look at M4. We had a couple chips in M4. Spyderco runs this pretty hard. We had a couple chips towards the back of the knife, so I'm going to tape that off and use the front here. We're going to do the same thing. Yep, we have a new chip, I think. It might be a roll. Hard to tell. I'll have to look at it through the microscope here. But there's definitely more edge damage on that than on the 52100. It's almost like these are like really micro chips versus the, if they are even a chip, maybe a roll. Whereas the M4, it looks like it's deeper. Like, it just seems like it has a deeper chip, like a larger chip, let's call it. So, interesting. I still feel like that 52100 has a little bit better edge stability than M4. Just based off the staples and the wire. Yeah, I don't know what else realistically you might cut. You might cut into some wire on accident and, you know, think you can cut through it or something, and oh, that's not, you know, that's wire, and it's gonna, you know, could damage your blade. 52100 so far has shown that it can handle the staples and the wire better than M4, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, there's definitely more chips. A lot of that has to do with the amount of the carbide structure of 52100, and you know, it's actually known to be a tougher steel. We'll call it tough. This isn't really testing toughness. This is more edge stability at the apex, but yeah. So I think that's enough as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm not looking to do extreme crazy tests like some guys out there. This is more, again, for me to review a steel in a lot more ways than just edge stability, than just edge retention. You know, how easy it sharpens, all those kind of things. So this is going to be a, you know, a series of videos. Probably it would be way too long to be one video. But yeah, I've been loving this pair of 3, excuse me, with these skinny denim micarta scales. Man, it feels so good in the hand. I mean, again, the clip's missing right now, so the ergonomics are gonna be a little bit better until that clip shows up, hopefully today. But been pretty impressed with this steel. Just some very, very minor edge damage to this. Now, it is pretty dull. I've pretty much dulled this stuff to the point of, like, not cutting anything. I shouldn't say anything because it still goes through cardboard. So it's keeping a good working edge. I mean, it's combining a little bit there. But this is some freaking thick cardboard. Look at that stuff, right? And it's still cutting through that. The M4, let's get out the tape. I don't doubt that M4 is going to have better edge retention, though. I'm not really trying to compare these two steels, like which one's better. I'm just kind of showing as, you know, here's another tool steel that is pretty popular. See how it does versus that. It's not really like, oh, 52100 is better than M4. So M4 is still cutting just fine too. But it's an abrasive material. You're really going to see the damage to the edge when you're cutting stuff like really thin paper like this. Like, where was our last? This knife is definitely sharper. Yeah, see, it's binding on. You can see how it's kind of ripping it. That's where one of our dings is, right there, and it just catches right there. But it's still plenty sharp. I put this one through a lot more recently. Lots of more cutting. And look, I can't even get it to bite on the paper. But it's gone through way more. The M4 was really only brought in to test the edge stability, and it's more prone to chipping than 52100. I would say edge stability on the 52100 is a little better. And those guys that know a lot more about steel will probably not be surprised by that. But next up, we're going to sharpen it, and we're going to test. I don't know if I'm going to do an edge retention test. I'm going to test it in a way that just by carrying the knife and using it daily. I'm not going to go through and just cut. I might cut copious amounts of cardboard, depending on if the mood strikes me, because sometimes it's kind of fun. But I'm not going to do like a bro science scientific counting how many feet or how many cuts I did. A lot of people have done that. I don't find that necessary. This is more just for my use and how this would be as an EDC steel, and taking a lot of things into factor. So stay tuned. I know this isn't a microscope, but you can see some chips there, chip there, maybe a roller chip there. I think that's a chip on the M4. Look at the 52100. You can see rolls. So the 52100 is definitely more prone to rolling than chipping. The M4 is the opposite. But I think I put the 52100 through a lot more, and it did pretty well. All right, so again, edge stability, not durability or toughness. I mean, it's toughness is more like if it's gonna, you know, I'm not gonna go into the explanations because I'm not. But that's what I did was test more of edge stability. So keep that in mind. So the 52100 did really good. I think it was really good. The second part of the video, you'll see me sharpening it and how easy it is to get all that damage. Didn't take a lot of damage, really. Had some rolls, and how easy it was to sharpen those out. And then the next part after that, in a different video, is going to be edge retention, and then just kind of my final thoughts on 52100 as a steel in general. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.